Good evening, guys. John, the firearms instructor. Hope you're having a wonderful Tuesday. We're in Southwest Florida. We're in Cape Coral, and it rained most of the day today. So hopefully, if you needed rain, you got it. If you didn't need rain, well, I'm sorry about that. God had other chances, and it rained today. Well, if you don't know who I am, my name is John Johnson. I'm the owner and operator of a firearms training facility in beautiful Cape Coral, Florida. We do these lives every Tuesday night at 6 o'clock. It's got various topics that we do. Mostly it has to do about firearms training, first time shooters. And that's what I specialize in. I specialize in you. I help the first time student get into becoming more proficient with a pistol, saving their life maybe, and being able to use a weapon for defensive or just fun range time. We are an indoor range here in Cape Coral. We teach people to shoot, and you may hear some shooting this evening because we are open until 7 o'clock. We're open every day from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. And Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays are open all day for range time. And we are here for you guys. So hopefully we can fit your needs. So last week we talked in regards to the 30-day accuracy challenge. I did a video last week on our YouTube channel. By the way, guys, if you were on this live tonight, can you comment? Let me know where you're from. That's our little system we do each week. If you're new, you could just comment, say, "Hey, I'm such and such, and I'm from such and such." We've had a lot of neat people from all over the world that are watching this video on a regular basis, and every Tuesday night we share some where you are from and what's up. So tonight is another great show. We're going to talk. Last week we talked about the 30-day challenge. And then this week we put out a week one, what you need to do. And I'm going to go briefly through that week one video and kind of give you what I want you to do for the following week. If you promise to follow the 4 weeks, I'll increase your accuracy. I guarantee that you'll be shooting better and more confident with a pistol. More confident you are with the pistol, actually will come automatically. So we have a little system tonight. We got a little different. So I want to show you a secondary camera we got going on this evening. Let's see if I can pop that up. Let's see if I can pop that up. Well, of course not. That never happens when I want it to. Add me to the stage. There I am. Second camera. Hello, hello, hello. I'm really showing you a couple targets tonight, so I want to make sure that I had the second camera. Sometimes when I try to look through the camera we have here, I don't get the opportunity, so we do have secondary camera, and we have a live. We're going to do PowerPoint presentation. It's more taking the first video and working through all the fundamentals. We have a few comments. I like to address the comments right away because some people want to make sure you can hear me or what else is going on there. So let's check the comments real quick. I'll flip these up and see where we are. We got John Smith. Hello, Mr. Smith. How are you, buddy? I'm glad you're on there. Matt Rod. Hello from Lehigh Acres. Hello, Matt. Natasha's mom. Beautiful. How you guys doing? Hope you did well. Mama, how you feeling? I hope you feeling well. So tonight, as the Hodge twins say, we got a damn good show for you this evening. Yeah, I was worried about you, Chris. We didn't see you last night. I wasn't feeling. Oh, I'm sorry you're not feeling well, buddy. So I'm starting to feel better. I'm glad to hear you're starting to feel better, Chris. Chris is one of our members here. We had our Monday night 9mm league. Guys, if you're looking to do something fun every Monday night, starting at 6 o'clock, we have our 9mm 3, 5, and 5, 7, and 10-yard shots, and we do a maximum of 300. Each bullet's worth 10 points, and we pay out the top 3. So last night, Big Lou got second place. We had Steve got first place, and we got a new kid, which was David's son, Dominic, came in third place. We're so proud of these guys. And it's not a big target, but it's not a small target. But they get 10 points for 10s. They get 9 for 9s and 8 for 8s. And all the give me's go to the shooter, not to the house. So, and the house we're not able to win. Miss Johnson came in second place last night, shooting a Glock 19, no open sights against all these Red Dot Boys, and Miss Johnson kicked ass. So I was very, very proud of her last night. If you have an opportunity to come shoot with us, it starts at 6 o'clock. You're allowed to come to the range by 5, shoot your practice rounds till 6, and we start right at 6 and go till we're done. And we set your targets, we set your lane. They're not swinging, they're not doing anything. And you shoot 5 rounds into one target, 5 rounds in another, and then we do the count. Then we move the 5 yards and then 7 yards, which is 21, and then 10 yards. And you can always come here, ask for practice targets, and we'd love to have you guys. Then we pay out the top 3 shooters each week. You could be that top shooter. All you have to do is show up and shoot. You never know what will happen. Oh, by the way, we do not know if we're going to shoot close or far until we flip the coin. So we can start out far and then shoot closer, or we can shoot at the 5 and shoot out to the 10. So it's a fun night. I was very proud of who all showed up last night. I think we had 11 people last night, so the winner got a pretty decent amount of money. So we pay out the top 3. If you get an opportunity, come shoot with us. Or I like to say is, come give us a shot, guys. Come give us a shot. See what it's all about. We'd love to have you. All right, so I did a PowerPoint presentation to explain the overall first week's challenge, 30-day accuracy challenge drills, and I wanted to cover it with you. I got the second camera out because I'm going to be showing you a couple grips, because the first week is all about foundation, and we always kind of give everybody the proper stance and the proper grip. If you don't have the proper stance and the proper grip, everything is going to be off at that point in time. So what we like to think about is the stance itself is the foundation. And really the foundation starts at the pistol and goes to the feet. And it does exactly the same in reverse. A lot of people tend to stand with 1 foot back or 1 foot forward. And I'll show you a few pictures this evening. I'm not saying you can't do that. I think you have a better balance when you have both feet shoulder width apart, spreading across and driving the gun, versus 1 foot back and 1 foot forward. Now, as we go on this evening, if you are on this live and you have not physically let us know where you're from or who you are, please make sure you do that. And obviously, if you can comment of any kind, we're going to go back later on and look through all our comments. I'm going to take just my second camera off real quick. There I am. And then we're going to go to the PowerPoint presentation. And I'm going to go through this quick because there's 20 pages of this thing. I didn't realize there's going to be 20 pages. I try to do them at 10. But I'm going to try to stick to the 20 pages and not get off into rants. But you know how I am about these things. It's such a passion of mine that I want to educate every one of you as much as I can. And while I'm doing that, I kind of go off into this direction or that direction. So I apologize up front. So let's go ahead and pull up the PowerPoint presentation. And let's go ahead. And I believe what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this one. And I think I'm going to remove this stage. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make the presentation big. There we go. I got this fancy little button push thing over here. I'm able to push the buttons. So here we go. 30-day handgun accuracy challenge. We talked about this last week, but this week we're going to talk about basic and foundation, grip, stance, and dry fire. Dry firing, we'll explain all this. I want to give you guys a heads up that we're going to do a lot of the drills, and everything that we talk about on this PowerPoint or this live or YouTube live or whatever you want to call it. We have a playlist that I've put together that's pulling all of my videos from my YouTube channel. We'll explain all the drills and everything else like that, and how to hold a pistol and all that stuff like that. So you don't have to worry about writing anything down, because there is a YouTube channel that's attached to me called John the Firearms Instructor. And you can just look that up on the YouTube. And if you have an opportunity, you have not subscribed, please subscribe. Put that bell icon and that like button. And every time we pop up something, you guys will be the first to know. We do a few videos a week, anyways. We do a few lives once. We at least do one live a week. And then now tonight, we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, we are on YouTube, and we are on Rumble. If you haven't heard of Rumble, Rumble's a 2A friendly YouTube basically. So we're spreading our wings a little bit here. If you're on Rumble or you haven't heard of Rumble, please go to my Rumble page, look at that, check it out. It's pretty awesome as well. Rumble's a little different than YouTube. Obviously, they're not as big as YouTube, so we're going to stick with YouTube as long as we can. But Rumble is more 2A friendly, and we're not running into too many problems with people freaking out when we say the GUN word or anything about that. It kind of works in our favor. So obviously, we appreciate you guys all being here, and let's get started. All right. So week 1 of the 30-day challenge. Week 1 of the 30-day challenge, and next month we're going to take your shooting skills to the next level. Whether you're beginning or have some experience, this challenge is designed to help you improve your accuracy, consistency, and confidence with a handgun. And it has. I went in the back just a few minutes ago. A young lady was in the back. She was shooting a pistol, and she was all over the place. I went back there, told her 3 things. And with 3 things, she went from shooting a group of about 18 inches to a group that was cover and a quarter. And she was doing everything right. She was just not controlling the weapon. I told her to drive the weapon, control the weapon, and drive with her back muscles instead of her hand muscles, and press the trigger, and boom, solve. So shooting is not complicated. It's complex. There are a lot of moving parts, and you just got to put them all together. And you got to get someone to tell you what's important and what's not important, because everything can't be that important. We got to get the grip and the stance, the trigger. That's why I said foundation is the beginning. Before we even figure out how to press a trigger, we got to make sure we're controlling the weapon. So foundation is important. We're going to talk about that. So what do we need? We need a willingness to learn. That's it. That's all you need. Oh, obviously, handgun, ammunition, targets, safety gear, eyewear protection, and a training journal. Or you carry a training journal with you every day, which is that iPhone you have in your pocket that you can take pictures and make sure you're bettering yourself every time you leave the range. Because going to the range, be honest with me, last time you're at the range, how many shots did you shoot? And how many were you happy with? What was your accuracy rate? We want to get you all 2 guys. We want to get every one of you to 80% accuracy. It's very easy to do, very simple to do. You just got to get yourself the fundamentals, the grip, the stance, the trigger control, the sight picture, the sight alignment, and be confident. Am I 80% myself? I would tell you at certain distances I'm better than others. This is what the whole idea of this thing is, to find out our weak points. Our weak points will make us concentrate on those weak points and become better with those. 3 things control the weapon. 3 things cause problems with the weapon: grip, stance, and trigger control. And next week, it's all about trigger control and aiming. But this week, it's about the foundation, the actual stance and grip. So let's go ahead and go to the next screen. Foundation of accuracy. The very first thing we're going to talk about is stance. How are you attached to the weapon? You're attached by the weapon by the feet, because you're attached to the ground by the feet. And then your hands going to go, your feet, your balance is going to go up your body, up to the core to the arms to the gun, and we got to put them all together. So first thing I want you guys to do, if you have an opportunity, is to, oh, by the way, I uploaded this video. My son Jacob told me to take the music down. I thought I took the music down low enough. Obviously, I didn't. I got a bunch of people complaining the music was too loud. I apologize, but you're going to have to sit through me, hear me tell you this stuff through some music. I added music to the video. I will not do that loud of music again. So before you even watch it, I want to apologize for the music being louder than it should be. It's not deafening louder, but it does take away from what I'm telling you. So you get an opportunity. This is on our YouTube channel. It's week 1 of the 30-day challenge, and it talks about grip, stance, and dry fire. And this is a good video to explain to you what you need to do to get your confidence here. And I would recommend you watch this first. I watched this video first. It's 13 minutes long, but it's definitely going to give you the gist of what I need you to do this week. And please, if you're doing the challenge at all, I need you to let me know that you are. And if you do shoot the challenge, you can always hashtag any pictures you have that you share on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or any of the other places you're doing it. Make sure that you hashtag 30-day accuracy challenge. 30-day accuracy challenge. And that will let me see the targets as I look through them. And you can always email me. That's John at Firearms Training. John at Firearms Training by johngjohnson.com. It's long, but it's underneath our YouTube info screen. Any of our descriptions all have that information. You can always send the videos to us that you want to, or pictures to us. All right, so there is that. I need you to do that now. Let's talk about proper stance real quick. Now, I'm going to tell you my proper stance, and I want to make sure you understand why I consider it the best. One, in obviously the one to the far right. Look at those legs. That's my legs. Those are some good-looking legs there. But you see the check marks are red because I put the red check marks there. These are the stance I recommend. So you have two options. You can actually have your feet parallel apart, just shoulder width apart. What you're doing is you're trying to, if you want to cut the person in half, you want to make sure you're putting the same amount of weight on both toes or feet. There is the one here that's 1 foot back just a little bit is acceptable. But the one with the foot way back at a different angle, what the proper stance does for us more than anything else is makes us mobile. If you look at the stance, the very first one is check marked way over there to the right. This is going to give you the ability to move forward, backwards, right, or left. Now, the one with the stance with the foot back just a little bit, it does demobilize you a little bit, but it's not way crazy. But the one definitely with the foot way back, you only can move in one direction, and that's the direction where the toes are pointed. And that's kind of weird scenario, especially in a defensive situation. Hardly ever do you want to go towards the threat. You want to go away from the threat. You want to get off the X, be the right, be the left, or be backwards. Hardly ever are you chasing the bad guy with the firearm. You're trying to get away from it as much as possible. So this proper stance is something that's easy to look at. We talk about, and you'll see in a couple screens from now, the athletic stance. Besides fencing, I don't know of too many sports that puts 1 foot back and 1 foot forward. You know, baseball, football, basketball, they're all standing in some kind of mobility stance, soccer, mobility stance that allows them to move and run in any direction on a whim. And that's kind of what we need to do with a firearm. So that is my opinion on the stance. You can go ahead and give me your opinion, what you think about these. Most people, the one that's I've marked out as no, that's not the one you want to do. That's old school. That's a Weaver stance. That's kind of putting the gun over your domino. This is very common back in the 60s and 70s and 80s because that's the way people were taught to shoot. But back in those days, the bad guys, the cops weren't wearing bulletproof vests. The moment you put a vest on, the moment you have, you actually blade off onto the bad guy. The bad guy has more opportunity to shoot you. The whole concept of being bladed was you were a smaller target. But once you got a bulletproof vest on, most of the cops were getting shot in the chest on the side because that's the angle they were be given. And the bulletproof vests are not really on the sides of the unit. They're more Velcro straps. They're not really designed to stop the bullet compared to the front plate and the back plate. So that's why we want to have that mobility and have that bulletproof vest pointing towards the bad guy. Obviously, if you don't have a vest, I understand that. But that's the whole reasoning why this stance came back. It was called a combative stance or a mobile stance. And if you can comment below, let me know if this is how you stand on a regular basis. If not, I understand. But you should try it. Definitely give you a better opportunity. All right. You need to be leaning forward. This is one of the things that most people do is when they get to the range is they actually physically put their weight on their heels instead of put the weight on their toes. We need to make sure our weight is on our toes. The more our weight is on our toes, the more we're leaning forward. Putting nose over toes helps tremendously with secondary and third shots. There we go. We talk about nose over toes. This is very important. I catch a lot of people in the back once in a while shooting in a stance of Matt Rod. How you doing? Use the middle stance. Yeah, that's good, Matt. That's good. Matt said he used the middle stance you have shown. Good, awesome. 1 foot back. Just be careful not to get that foot way back. Just have it just a foot. Because what tends to happen, secondary thing was when I'm right-handed and I'm right-eye dominant. So when I take that foot back a little bit, it adjusts the impact of the bullet a little bit. So we've got to be careful with that too, because the more stationary we are in turning a hip, that's actually physically the foot back actually turns your hips, and it can level out the pistol for some people. Most people who that helps is someone who's putting too much finger in the gun, and that finger in the gun causes the gun to go left, and you step back a little bit, it brings that angle back around. Thanks for that information, Matt. I really appreciate that very much. Thank you for commenting. Yeah, definitely would be a ability to do either one of those will work for you. But definitely having the nose over the toes allows you to give. So I want you to think about this. This is the easiest way for me to give this to you. When's the last time you were at the beach? When you're at the beach and you're standing there, I want you to dig your toes into the sand. And as you dig the toes into the sand, I want you to lift your heels. And if you lift your heels just enough to put the gun out in front of you without falling forward, that's a proper distance of nose over toes. If you can't lift your heels without falling forward, then you're leaning too far over. I see a lot of guys in the back squat and lean. You want it to feel more natural to you, because you're going to go back to a natural stance no matter what we do when you're shooting. But something of an angle or weird, or you're leaning and pushing, because a lot of tall guys come to these ranges and they're putting the target at their belly and they're trying to shoot, and so puts himself in a weird angle. So you just want to have that ability to feel the weight transfer from the heels to the toes and keep that chest level as much as possible, and pushing the gun out in front of you to control it as much as you can. And then as we do that, we're shifting that weight all the way from the heels to the toes, and that helps tremendously for secondary and third shots. Remember, recoil management is one of the challenges for most people, and being able to get the proper grip to control the recoil as much as possible is key. And the more we do that, and you start getting that feel and letting the gun just run and not put a lot of pressure on it, you're going to really be comfortable at a certain point. All right. So putting all that together, it's going to make an athletic stance. Like I told you before, I don't know of a sport, back toes line with the front foot heel. Helps me with the recoil management. From north to south. Nice, Natasha. Yes, I know. I see you do that all the time. Someone's taught you that. I didn't teach you that. I taught you feet shoulder width apart. Someone else has told you that. Natasha says my back foot is slightly back, my toes lined with the front heel. Yes, she does that. She's okay. She's a good shot. It helps me with recoil management because she doesn't drive with her back muscles. She muscles the gun with her hands, which is north and south, side to side, front heel, front. It doesn't feel good to me for the recoil. I got you. Yep. Natasha, you're a good shot anyway. So, how are you doing to keep it up, girlfriend? It's good. Like I said before, I'm giving you my opinion. This is the way I lay it out, but every student has their own little keys and tricks to it. And the more you have the keys and tricks to it, the easier it becomes for you. Natasha shoots a dot. She shoots iron sights as well. This allows the gun to be more stable for her and pushes it for. Only challenge of most students is they're not using their body to absorb the recoil as much as they're trying to absorb the recoil with their hands. And that's why with women, well, obviously Natasha's a little different because of her power and strength she has, because an instructor of health, and she teaches people to become healthy, and she lifts weights and everything else. She's got a lot more muscles than a lot of women do. So when you ask her to drive a weapon, it's a little different than most women who do not have the back muscles. Natasha has back muscles, so a lot different for her. Thank you, Natasha. Love you. All right. So that kind of gives you the whole foundation of the stance. And I'm going to reiterate one more time with you. When I say foundation, it starts at the pistol and goes all the way to your feet. People think the grip and the stance is not the same, and it is the same because you cannot stand in a weird way and shoot the pistol and be accurate or consistent, I guess is what the word is. We can all shoot a pistol once any way we want to. It's just the follow up, the recoil, the follow up shots, the shot after the shot after the shot after the shot. Remember that foundation helps us get back on target faster. And the more we're on target faster, the quicker it is for the follow up shots, if that makes sense. Most people are trying to muscle a pistol. Gentlemen, you are very guilty of this. You can shittily hold a gun and shoot it okay. If you would drive with your chest muscles to control the weapon, you'll be more accurate. Let the hands hold the weapon. Our dominant hand holds the pistol, our non dominant hand controls the pistol. If you look at a right handed student, most of the time, the right handed student has three fingers holding onto the gun. The trigger finger and the thumb are along for the ride. And then we're going to take the four fingers and wrap underneath the trigger well and grip the gun very hard. Some people give the percentages. I've heard that before. You want to squeeze the gun as hard as you can without being fatigued at the end of the first five shots. So we need to control it enough that we're going to keep it from muzzle flipping, but not enough that we're over torquing and causing us to twitch our muscles or overfire our muscles and get fatigued, which is very common for women. That's why we tell women it's not about the grip in the hands, it's to push the back. The more you push the weapon out and control the weapon, the better you're going to have. Your dominant hand is driving out, and your non dominant hand is pulling back. And that push and pull will lock in your back muscles, ladies, and you'll be more accurate and more able to stabilize the weapon for the follow up shot. All right, so let's show you a proper grip. Now, this is where the other camera comes in. I have the camera here, and I've got it up here, and we proper grip, or the two thumbs forward grip. This is the one we teach on a regular basis. I'm going to flip up. I'm going to take this, add you to the stage. There we go. And then I'm going to try to show this camera here. And I am going to pop it there. Okay. No, that's the wrong camera. Let's go. Let's go this camera. There we go. So let's talk real quick about proper grip, because it all starts with the firearm in the hand. Everyone can see that, correct? That's a plastic gun. We're going to be pointing it at the camera here in a little bit. There is no bullets. There is no barrel or anything else like that. Number one mistake most people see when they hold a firearm in their hand is not being able to get high on the tang. You want to be as high as you can. What you don't want, guys, is you don't want that gap. Obviously, no one's shooting a gun like a gap like that, but I do see a lot of people don't get high on the tang like that. And there is that point of gappiness. If I take this and hold it, look how that moves in the hand. So the very first thing you want to do with a proper grip is to get high on the tang. This is called a tang, and you want to be high on it. So you want to be high on the tang. And as we're high on the tang, we want to make sure our finger's off that trigger. So there is the first grip that you want to do. And that naturally, guys, that naturally makes that, let's see if I can do this way, if you can see it. That naturally makes that gap right here. And with that gap being there, that's where the other hand will go. So we're going to lay it out. We're going to take our other hand and we're going to thumb it in just like that. Now, the cool thing about this, and you'll see in the video, is if I'm locking my wrist out to put my hand in that grip here and control it just like that, once I've locked that wrist out to a point, it can't move anymore. If it can't move anymore, you're not going to get the muzzle flip that most people get. Because if you grab down here and just take that thumb and do like this, well, that gun has the opportunity to do whatever it wants to do. And it's going to move and you're not going to control the recoil. But if you lock your wrist out, and at that point in time, you engage the trigger, that wrist has no other place to go. So it's going to stay locked out a lot further and a lot better for you. So proper grip, whether you're right hand or left hand, I'm grabbing a left-handed right now. I'm not a left-handed shooter, but it's exactly the same thing. You're going to wrap it in, pull it in, and lock them in. And take that thumb, put that thumb on top of the thumb. That locks that wrist out, and when you cut the shot, it's not going to move or wiggle for you. Our grip, no matter what it is, you want to be high. See how this is here? I am up here, high on that, locking it in. I don't have a gap system there, right? That would put me have flippies. And then a lot of guys want to grab the top of the Glock and do this. That's not going to let you lock your wrist out. And what you do there is you start pulling on the gun, and it's going to cause the impact of the bullet to go the opposite direction. So if you get here, you want these 4 fingers to be wrapped right underneath here and lock that thumb out. Once that thumb is locked out, you got it right there. And that's going to keep that muzzle flip down to a level that you can control on a regular basis. A lot of times you'll catch guys that will take their thumb and roll it in and put their other hand directly on it. Now, doing that, all your grip, all your control, and all your power comes from your non-dominant hand. But if that thumb right here is not controlling the weapon or not making that gap for you, you've got it right here. When you go to grab this here, you're not touching the pistol with this hand at all. So how is it helping you control the weapon if you physically can't touch the weapon? So that's why that void is so important. Fill that void. Here in Florida, we call that fill Florida, because it looks like Florida when you're looking at it. And you take your hand, wrap it in. Only thing as a left-handed student, one of the challenges of a left-handed student is your ejection port is right here. So as a lefty, you want to make sure that you have your thumb below the ejection port and not up here. Because up here, you'd hit your thumb with every round that ejected, which could cause the weapon to jam. And then how do you, as a lefty, eject the magazine? There are guys that reach underneath here and push the button, but The trick, really, of all tricks is to take this finger and press the button. Once you press the button, the magazine would fall out in your hand. And then lefties, you could pick any pistol. You don't need an ambidextrous pistol because the ambidextrous pistol is, there's only a few out there that are like that. You could get your mag release changed to the other side. Don't recommend that if it's a house gun, like means someone else could grab it and use it. Because if a right-handed student wanted to take this gun and take the magazine out, like I've done with Tasha's gun before, because she's a lefty as well, puts me off weird. Now I've done it because I've done it forever, teach left-handed students all the time, so I know how to do it, but most people wouldn't know how to get the magazine out. Listen, you ask a right-handed student to do anything left-handed, it becomes more challenging for them than a left-handed student to do something right-handed. It's pretty simple and easy for them. So the proper grip comes with a high on the tang, good squeeze. Your dominant hand is controlling about 40% of the grip. Your non-dominant hand is the remaining part, and it's going to control the weapon and keep the weapon from flipping. All right, let's go back to the PowerPoint real quick. All right, add to the screen. Boom. Yeah, so the two thumbs grip is very important because that's how you really control the weapon. What we're trying to do with that grip is trying to get as much fat around that gun as possible, and try to control it as much as possible. There's got to be a split between your dominant hand, your non-dominant hand. If you standardly grab a pistol, you can do this at home if you like to try it. Make sure it's empty, no magazine in the room. And go ahead and just squeeze it as hard as you can. Yes, that's true. Gun and Fish USA. Yes, dear friend. If your dominant hand is injured, good to train with your weak hand too. You're exactly right, my friend. You're exactly right. Because it's that you could lose a hand. You could get yourself hurt. You got to know how to take the magazine out with both hands, 100%. I was lucky enough, be honest with you guys, I was lucky enough to work with a guy who lost his arm, his right arm. He was right-handed, and he actually had a mechanical arm that he could use through his phone, and we got it to work to engage the trigger of the unit, but it just didn't work really well. And he'd never shot left-handed before, and he was shooting a 40 caliber. And by the time we got done with him at the end of those classes, he was just as accurate, just as deadly. The one thing is when you lose a appendage like that, your body takes over and makes the other one stronger anyway. So he did wonderful. He even racking the slide. We were using the table to rack the slide. There are certain weapons out there like locks and things like that have flat sight system, so it makes it easy to put the rounds in the chamber. One of my videos on my YouTube channel, I loaded a magazine with my non-dominant hand, one-handed, which was somewhat of a challenge. It was not the easiest thing to do, but we were able to figure it out. Obviously, you got to do what you got to do when it gets in a situation like that. 100%. Thank you for your comment, sir. Appreciate it. All right. So we talked about being high on the tang. That's important. I want to remind you guys that a firearm is a bullet. Anything you give it, it's going to take. And if you're not high on that weapon, kind of controlling that flip, it's definitely going to take over on a regular basis. You want to make sure that when you pick the gun up or put the gun down, we make a pistol. We've talked about that multiple times. It's very simple and easy. Finger out, make the pistol itself. From the pistol, it becomes easy for you to push the gun out in front of you. And it's a habit to get into. Push the gun, put the gun back down on the table, finger off the trigger, pick the gun up, finger off the trigger. Very important. We talk about that right thumb over the left thumb. There's no pressure needs to be applied by the thumbs. I want to make sure you understand your thumbs are along for the ride. Many people can freak out when they see those thumbs high on the slide like that. Being a left-handed student, high on the slide could be dangerous or could cause you some pain because of the casing coming out of the slide. But you right-handed students, that slide will never hurt you. The only way that slide hurts you is if you put your thumb behind the slide or up above the slide or up above, who get it real high on the thing. One of my problems with the Glock 19 is I actually hold it too high, and once in a while I'll get banged by the gun. But I have to shoot an awful lot of rounds, which normally happens if I'm in a training class and I get to, shooting rapidly. That's when I lose my grip a little bit. Plus, that Glock 19, I've always told you guys I have small hands. The Glock 19 is a double stack weapon, so it is a little fatter in the hands, so it's hard for us to control it as much. But if you have the opportunity to try one of these thumb forward grip and make sure you lock that wrist down, you'll be very surprised how accurate you become already. And this is the whole point of this 30-day challenge, is to give you the little tricks that you can add up to make the big tricks, to make the accuracy work for us. So we talked about your dominant hand holds on to the pistol, your non-dominant hand controls the pistol. That's as easy to say as the more power you put on the weapon, it should be put on your non-dominant. It's just math, guys, really, if you think about it. If I take my dominant hand, how many fingers are holding on the pistol? Don't count the thumb. Don't count the trigger. You only have 3 fingers holding on that pistol with your dominant hand, but you have 4 fingers holding on with your non-dominant hand. I know that 4 is more than 3, so you're going to definitely get more power that way. Definitely get more power that way. Question for you: last time you were to range, did you think you had complete control of the weapon, or did you have a little bit of bobble, a little bit of anticipation, a little bit of recoil management issues? These grip and that grip right there would solve a lot of the anticipation and a lot of the control of the weapon by making sure that you lock your thumbs out. And then now we're going to talk about driving the weapon. Where do we put the weapon over our face? Now, you look at this picture I'm telling you about. I'm driving this weapon over my dominant eye. If you notice, my eye, I'm right-handed, right eye dominant. That weapon is directly over my right eye. And that's where the pistol needs to be. The more we drive the weapon over our dominant eye, I am driving that weapon out. I'm using my chest muscles. I'm holding on very good. I'm not holding super tight, but I'm not very loose either. I've got a good grip on that firearm. Those 3 fingers are holding the weapon, and the 4 fingers on the non-dominant hand are gripping the weapon, and I'm pushing that weapon over my dominant eye. And then that's when I want to begin to engage the trigger. And what we're looking for there is a slow trigger engagement. Now, we're going to talk way into sight alignment and trigger control next week. We're going to go deep into it. I've done multiple videos on proper grip and proper stance and sight alignment, things like that. I want to make sure that we are putting the science together for you guys to make sure you understand why we do the things we do to make you more connected to the piece. That's why when someone shoots a rifle, they can be a shitty shooter and still shoot it okay because of the long sight radius that we have. Somebody who is shooting a pistol, and those pistols have very short radiuses, and they are not easy to shoot. One of the hardest weapons to shoot on a regular basis is a handgun, because you're trying to control it, but you can't give 100% with either hand. You've got to have a split of some kind. And the more you understand how to control it, the better you'll be in control with the weapon. All right. So many of you ask this question all the time about the dominant eye, and I did a picture showing you dominant eye test is very easy. What I've done there is I've made myself a triangle, and I'm going to go back up to the camera here. I'm going to throw one of these on here for us. Let's see if I can do this real quick. All right, so I'm going to take the camera, and I am going to make a triangle with my hand, just like that. And I am going to take that weapon and I'm going to stare right at you guys. And I'm going to look through that camera, look through that triangle right here, and I'm going to bring it back to my face. And as I get it to my face, it's automatically going to go to my dominant eye. And that's the easiest way to test your dominant eye. Because if you try to use your left eye to look through this and start bringing it back to your face, all you're going to see is the back of your hand. So that tells you automatically that you're dominant. That tells you guys that I'm right-handed and right-eye dominant. So when we're using this weapon, we want to make sure that weapon is over my dominant eye as best as I can. I don't have my elbow down, but I don't have room for all this stuff. The more you have the weapon over your dominant or marrying the weapon and the dominant eye together, the more the left and right becomes less problematic for you. Then it's all about up and down at that point in time. And then it's all about just slow trigger press. Because the more you pull a trigger, the more you pull the gun down. Earlier today, I had a little lady in here, one of our students, and she had a great group. They were all low and left. And she wanted to know what was causing it. And she had a few that were high and right, and she had a few that were all to the right. But the most her group was low and left. And I tried to explain to her what was causing that. And majority of the low and left is pulling the trigger, not pressing the trigger, and anticipating the shot. Now, here's the real challenge for most people. And I could prove this to any student. You could prove it to yourself if you'd like to. Have one of your friends or pals load a magazine and hand it to you. Now, if they do it right, you could put 3 rounds in there that are live and 1 dummy round and see how you jerk the pistol when that dummy round comes up. That's a good drill that will keep you from anticipating the recoil. So you get this whole, the weapon is here, you're bang, 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 and then you get this whole jumping thing. So you were expecting it to recoil, and it didn't. Internally, your monster is screaming its head off because it doesn't know what you're doing half the time. So it doesn't understand with the recoil management, it's going to cause us so much challenge of anticipation. But you've got to have the weapon over your dominant eye. And the easiest way to do that was the dominant eye test. Challenge for most students now is they have those progressive lenses, they have the progressive contacts, they have one's good for long distance, one good for short distance, which screws up a lot of different stuff for a lot of different people. But naturally, when someone comes to the range that is ambidextrous or left-handed, it's very unlikely most left-handed students are left-eye dominant. It's kind of crazy. Most left-handed students are right-eye dominant. There are, I'm not saying not everyone, but there are large percentage of right-handed students are left-eye dominant as well. So there are the opportunities where lefty is lefty, though. So the more it is, the more you want to make sure your eyes over that weapon. The more your weapon over the more you're over the weapon, the more level the pistol is for us, and that solves a lot of our challenges of people shooting pistols and pulling or getting these wide grips. All right, let's hit that next one. Use the tip of your finger to slowly press the trigger. And I can tell you that a lot of times when we get people in, they tend to use their trigger finger as a control of the weapon. Remember what I told you, the trigger finger is to press the trigger. That's it. Doesn't hold on to the gun, doesn't do anything, but just slowly engages the trigger. And the key thing for most people is what I just said. Slowly press the trigger. Don't pull the trigger. Majority of the time we get done in the class and I start talking to students, or I got a guy back there that's really pulling the shit on the trigger and he doesn't understand what that means or he doesn't have a concept of it. I just ask him, how many of those rounds, those last 5 rounds you shot, how many of them you knew were going to fire? And the guy, oh, what do you mean? All of them. They all fire. Yeah, because you're pulling the trigger. You're expecting the weapon to fire. But I want you to run the gun like you don't expect it to fire, like the shot should surprise you, and then you'll get more uh, understanding how much pressure needs to be applied to the weapon before the weapon fires or cuts. And the more you understand that, the easier it becomes to run the gun seamlessly because you know how much trigger travel you're going to have on the pistol, and it will help you tremendously become better and better shots. This will correlate, guys, I promise you. Once you start getting comfortable running the gun, keeping the gun level, working that horizontal plane, I don't care if you used a baseball bat to pull that trigger. If you do it right, it doesn't matter. But if you're pulling the trigger and you're anticipating and you're not holding on to the gun, they all multiply. It's multipliers multiplying problems. And this is why we have to put each one of these sciences together to give you that understanding of what's happening. Why is it happening? What's causing that bullet to impact here, there, or everywhere? It's because one of your things are breaking down in your system. That's all it is. It's a system. We got to just follow it and put these 4 weeks together, and you'll become a better shooter. Guaranteed. Guarantee. All right, so what I need you to do, I first need you to do your failure test. We talked about this last week. We talked about getting that paper plate. Let me get back to one of these cameras here. Let me do this here. Take a paper plate. You don't need to put the A, B, C, and D on it yet, but you can if you want. You need to take this. You need to grab your best pistol that you're most comfortable with. You're going to take this. You're going to take 2 magazines, 5 rounds apiece. Now, I would recommend myself practice a little bit before you start the drill. I'm not talking about shooting 500 rounds. I'm talking about getting comfortable, running the trigger, and get feeling good. And then I want you to put this at 3 yards. And I want you to cut 5 shots. Now, obviously, we're trying to hit as close to center as possible. Let's say you did that. And let's say they were all in your area, right? You felt comfortable. You loved that. A good shot. Wonderful, wonderful. Then I want you to take it out to 5 yards. And I want you to do the same. And then I want you to take it out to 10 yards. And then 15 yards. And however far you need to go to get that comfortability. Now, if you fail at 10, well, that's where you need to work at. I'm not talking about shooting your weapon and they're all impacting down here low. I'm talking about them being in this general area of the center of the paper plate. Now, next week, we'll talk about how to aim and how to engage a trigger, but I want you to do this failure to find out where you're weakest. Is it at 3 yards, or you can't shoot at 3 yards, which a lot of people can't? Or is it at 5 yards, or is it 7 yards, or at 10 yards? Now, I did the drill a week ago. We announced it, and I played it out, and I shot it, and that was the week of the drill, and then I did week 1. I'm going to tell you my weak area is the further distance. The further I got out with that weapon, I was able to do 3 yards fine, 5 yards. I didn't even shoot 3 yards because I knew I wasn't going to have a problem with 3 yards. Not trying to be cocky. I just didn't think I was going to have a problem with 3 yards. And I didn't shoot at 5 yards because I knew I wouldn't have a problem at 3 or 5. 7, 21 feet, and the 10 was one of my distances. I was able to do really well at the 10. And then I got out to I was able to do 7 and out to with 10 yards, is when I started pulling them, and I got the low and left a lot. I was able to do. I tried to solve it and pull it up a little bit higher. But yeah, low and left. So I practice all my shots almost every day at the longer distance. And I'm doing a lot of one shot groups right now. I'm just trying to get a good, crisp trigger engagement with slowly engaging it while still driving the weapon. And it's working for me. It's giving me that ability. You'll see it in next week's video because I'll show you a couple pictures of some of the targets I've used. So what do I need you to do? I need you to get your accuracy test done. This is not a test that you're supposed to pass. This is a test you're supposed to fail. I need you to tell me your failure rate. Where are you? Now keep in mind, what I'm looking for is 80% at 3, 80% at 5, 80% at 7, 80% at 10. I was never 80% at 10. At 7, the 10, and the 5, 7, the 5, and the 3, I had no issues with. So I'm working on that. I need you to watch this week's video. I need you to practice some dry firing. Now, on my YouTube channel, there's a playlist, and there are multiple dry firing drills. Now, it's very important you understand what I mean by dry firing. That means if you're in your bedroom, nothing else in the room should equate to any bullets or any rounds at all. And all we're doing is racking the slide and slowly pressing the trigger. We're trying to find that trigger travel. Every trigger itself has some kind of manipulation that happens. Some triggers, like a Glock, for instance, heavy loads. It loads heavy, it loads heavy, it loads heavy, and then it cuts. The Smith & Wesson Shield Plus, it's got a wall. You bring it back to wall, it stops dead, and anything past that shot, it's going to cut. The Skies are a little longer. The Tauruses, the G2s, the G3s, they have a double action soft trigger, but you still have to get it back to a certain point. Trigger travel is one of those things we need to really work at, because once we understand how much pressure do I need to put on this trigger to get it to a stage where it's going to cut the round. And at that point in time, it becomes easier for you no matter what pistol. Listen, guys, I very rarely shoot my own gun here. I'm helping customers. I'm shooting their pistols. So I shoot an awful lot of pistols that aren't my own. And I have to do the same thing. I have to know how much trigger travel it takes. And so I start pushing it back, get the feel of it. And then I can help the student understand what they're fighting or what they're going through on these weapons to help them get their ability to get the trigger back at a smooth cadence. It's very challenging for most students because they don't really know what's the difference between this gun and that gun and this gun. And be honest with you, the only difference between most pistols is the name of the product and how much engagement, how much pressure the trigger needs to do to make it go bang. So I need you to do some dry firing drills. I would like to see at least 20 a day. You do it. You do you, boo. You do what you need to do. But the more time you spend slowly pressing that trigger instead of pulling it, it makes it a lot easier, because the monster inside of us thinks every time you put a pistol in your hand, it's going to fire. And when you start pressing the trigger instead of pulling the trigger, it definitely confuses the brain. And it doesn't always, hey, that didn't go bang this time. So the dry firing does help a lot to make you more accurate. And then I need you at least one time this week, get to the range. And I want you to work on just the fundamentals of the grip and the stance. And I want you to concentrate on the new grip and new stance, not the one you've been doing. Now, obviously, if you've been following a 2 thumbs forward grip, then you need to maybe adjust your grip a little bit to get comfortable. And I only want you to work at 3 yards. I don't want you to get past 3. I don't want you to get past 5 yards out during this week. Because really, we haven't really talked about the real challenges of the trigger engagement and sight alignment. I just want you to kind of work on that slow trigger press. And there is a video on our YouTube channel called The Line Drill, would be a great drill to practice this week. And it's very simple. You don't have to go to YouTube, to be honest with you. You take a black piece of tape, electrical tape, take a white piece of paper, and do a horizontal black line. Take the piece of tape, 12 inches, stretch it right across the white piece of paper. Take that white piece of paper, staple it up at the range. Make sure that that line is in your eye line. And I don't want you dipping your head to get to the gun. I want to keep your head up the whole time. And then I want you to work your waist, move your waist, and cut the shots trying to hit the line. Now, this will tell you a tremendous amount of how much trigger pull you're doing versus trigger press you're doing. Because if you're impacting that line or shooting above the line, then you're not really pulling any triggers. But if you're shooting below that line each time, then you're anticipating the trigger pull, or you're doing something else by dipping your head, or got the front post lower than the back post, which is all aiming stuff that we'll talk about next week. But this is going to be a great advantage for you because we don't have to worry about bullseyes right now. We don't have to worry about anything. As long as you're impacting the paper, we're still doing okay. You should be able to tell with what I gave you for grip and stance this week, the ability that it's giving you to control the weapon a lot more. And it's definitely, this is what we do with all students. We start them out in the grip and stance, and these are the way you have to be more proficient. Remember, you don't use your wrist to aim the gun, you use your waist to aim the gun. All right, and let's go one more. Stay tuned for next week's next week is going to be trigger control and how to aim the pistol. And these two things here, with the two for the first week and two the second week, those 4 items will make you more accurate right off the bat. I mean, there's no possibility because now you know what's causing your inaccuracy. Besides you, you know it was a trigger pull, it was a trigger press, it was an anticipation, it was recoil management. I lost my grip, I had my thumb tucked, I did something else. It's not the gun. You can't stand there and stare at the gun and figure out, or I'm going to adjust my sights because the gun is doing something odd. Trust me, it's not the gun. It's just something you're doing on a regular. Now there are opportunities where the sight does get moved or the trigger gets bumped. I mean, the sights get bumped. I had a guy last week had a Glock in. He was shooting all to the right. He didn't know why, and I looked at his sights, and his sights were really adjusted. Oh, he didn't do it. He just got bumped because they are dovetail sights. They can get hit and smacked out of the way. So that is something. But most of the time, it's student activated. All right. Let's see what we can do here. All right. Remove. Here I am. All right, then we'll pull me off that both cameras. Put them on there. I am. All right. So yeah, so that hopefully you guys are following the challenge. I thought this was going to be pretty good. We've got a bunch of people on YouTube that have responded to it and are doing it. I know that as this goes longer and longer, it's going to be evergreen. So people are always going to find it. One of the 5 of the things that people ask about mostly when it comes to how to shoot a pistol, it's how to grip a pistol, how to aim a pistol, how to load a magazine. These are all things that people who are new to shooting go through each week, and we get a lot of people contacting us about one of our videos or 2 of our videos, how they're helping us. I think this series it's going to help tremendously watch time and help people really get down to the point of uh, truly understanding how to shoot a pistol. Which in turn, once you got that, then accuracy is not going to be an issue because everything we're doing with the weapon is building confidence. And when the confidence is being built, accuracy will come. It has to. It has to come because at that point in time, it becomes so much more about the student than it is about the weapon because the weapon is just a tool. It does nothing without you. You load it, you run it, you shoot it. What's it do without you? Can't load its own magazine, can't rack its own slide, can't pull its own trigger. It's just a tool. And what's a tool need? A craftsman. Be the craftsman, guys. Be the craftsman. All right, that was great. I thought that was a good night. We're at an hour. I want to go up and say hello to everybody and see if there's any comments that we have. John Smith, welcome. Matt, Rod, thank you very much. Matt, have you been on the live before? And John Smith, obviously this is your first night, I believe. Obviously Natasha's mom is always here. We appreciate you very much. Chris, I hope you feel better, buddy. I'm sorry to hear that you're feeling bad, but if you're feeling bad, stay the hell away from here. I don't want to get sick. I don't want to get sick. Oh, by the way, I want to say, hope you feel better, Tom. Tom's in the hospital, not feeling so well. They're doing some tests on him today, and obviously, my prayers are to you, buddy. Hopefully, you will come out of this strong and better off, buddy. I miss you, and I hope you feel better, pal. Matt, welcome. Great live. Thank you, Natasha. It's always nice to hear from you, sweetheart, and mom, obviously, and mom. So I ask you again, please look down at your channel, wherever you are, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and make sure you are subscribed. There's been opportunities where people are getting unsubscribed for some reason. And I don't know what it is. I'm sure it's not nefarious. I'm sure it's something algorithm thing that happens. But oh, thanks, Matt. Matt Rod said, thanks for all the tips. Looking forward to the next video. Matt, if you have an opportunity to go to our YouTube channel, man, we got probably about 500 videos right there. John, the firearms instructor. Are you watching on YouTube or are you watching on Facebook, Matt? Or Instagram? Can you let me know that, please? Make sure you guys are checking the subscribe button because something's happening, and once in a while people get unsubscribed, and I'm sure that obviously it's not. Okay, cool. Yeah, well, you make sure you subscribe. Matt Rod, appreciate you. Make sure you subscribe. Have you been to our store, buddy? Have you been to the Cape Coral store? We'd love to see you. You come in and mention you saw us on YouTube. We give you a free hour of range time, buddy. Come by and see us. That we love to see our YouTube students. Come see us. We'd love to have you. You need to get here, Matt. It's worth it, buddy. We're open 7 days a week for range time. We'd love to have you, buddy. I'm glad you found us. Did you just find us over looking at stuff, or how did you find about the live? Or have you subscribed already and you just got a response saying we were having a live? Okay, cool. Yeah. Right now we have our summer special, Matt, which is the basic pistol combo with concealed, and that's on our YouTube channel. I mean, that's on our website, and that's firearms training by johngjohnson.com. And that just right up there, and it gives her and you firearms training as well as the CCW class. It's on sale during the summer, so it's a better buy because during the regular wintertime, those are $260, and right now they're $99 a piece. So it's well worth it, pal. All right. Awesome. Awesome. Well, what's happening out there? Let me know. Oh, found your site in Google. That's where I found your YouTube channel. Very good. That's cool, man. So let me ask you something, guys. What are you looking for? What kind of videos should I be doing for you? Now we are going to push out these next two for the 4 weeks, but I can add stuff in, pull stuff out. Maybe gun reviews, maybe something else. Let me know if you think about anything, what you're seeing out there. We would love to make you happy. If you guys are having problems or issues with firearms, or any kind of accuracy issues, I'm always a phone call away and I can help you. Or you could stop by like Matt's going to do. Obviously, I get people from all over the world watching this stuff, which is it's still it still humbles the shit out of me. Be honest with you, that anybody wants to sit up for an hour and a half and hear a guy bubble on like you guys have done. But after the fact, how many people watch this YouTube live is crazy to me, and I am humbled. You know, it is a passion of mine. I hope it shows. Hope it shows that I want to educate you guys. I want to help you. All the stuff we started this channel, we started what I did for a living to motivate, educate, and entertain. And I hope I'm doing all three of them because all I want you guys to do is tell somebody about us. That way, the next person you talk to, you could help. When we at our store, we're looking for those perfect avatars, and those perfect avatars are the new people, the new shooters who are looking to extend their education and become more proficient. Remember, never forget it's not a cop's job to save your life. It's your job to save your life. And let someone help you get to that stage that you're able to do it. You can't expect the cop to be there in a minute. You got to make sure. Yeah, I got to make sure that you understand that the cop's job is to write the report and draw the chalk line. It's your job to save your life, and don't be the chalk line. Don't be the chalk line. Natasha, I love you, girlfriend. Natasha says, I walked into your range and have never left you. You are the best. Well, oh, boy, she wants something, I'm telling you. She's being awful nice to me tonight. No, I'm just kidding, Tasha. I love you too. You are awesome. You're one of my best prides. I tell you that. She went from being this nervous wreck New Jersey girl, scared to death of firearms, didn't know if she was going to do anything or not, to being, force on force training. Now, I don't do that. She's doing it somewhere else. Long distance shooting. She does, all kind. I mean, these shoot on shoots. She's being shot at with rubber bullets, wearing a helmet, getting out of a car, fighting against guys. If you're gonna pull a Webster out, pull out badass. That she's in it. That's a definition. You pull all the way out, get to the end, and it's her. She's a badass. Not only that, she's humble. She won't tell anybody about most of that stuff. That's why I'm praising her. On top of that, she is an instructor, so she does all of her stuff to teach people to become more healthier. And she gardens. So it's gardens. Oh, help me, Tasha. It's it's gardens, guns, and gym. Is that it, Tasha? Gardens, guns, and gym. That's her little deal, and that's what she thought she would do. So obviously, gym. Oh, I'm sorry, I said it wrong. Gym, garden, and guns. That's her little tagline. She takes takes the seed out of the tomato, and she takes that and puts it in and plants it and puts it in and brings it up. She is crazy though. She does eat avocados, which no one should eat an avocado. That's disgusting. But that's my opinion, obviously my opinion. Well, if there's nothing, Papa Weasel, there we go. Hey, buddy, how you doing, man? Doing okay. This is a good one. You got to go back and listen to it. We did the first week of the 30-day challenge, and I actually had Papa Weasel watch this. 2 cameras tonight. So we had this view and that view, this view, that view, this view, that view. So obviously, I was showing some grips and stances and stuff like that. I want to make sure. So I'm glad that you. Oh, Natasha showed me a picture of avocado. So I hate to do it to you each night. I hate leaving. That's part of that deal. But I've got, it's Tuesday night. You know what that means? Tuesday night is someone respond. Taco night. And we're gonna get some tacos, me and Jacob, because Miss Johnson's bowling tonight. So we don't get to eat dinner with each other, but we're gonna go get some tacos. If nothing else, I got 3 things for you. God bless, be safe, and remember, you are your first line of defense. Oh. Flipped over. There we go. You are your first line of defense. Until next week, I love you guys. We'll see you. God willing. Bye-bye.